Welcome to Subramani. Over the next few years, the market is bound to fall in one of the years by 30 to 32% or 35%, whatever. And I'm not sure which will be the year. So if not 5 years, over the next 6 years, this is bound to happen. And this has got nothing to do with COVID. This is what I'm saying from my 40 years of experience, saying that markets over a 10-year period, over a decade, 1 year it will fall by 30%. So 2020 March it fell by 20%. Some of us have suffered even worse. You will have to go back really long back, is 1993. When the market fell some 47%. We completely conveniently forgot that the previous year the market had gone up by some 250 or 260%, which was definitely not sustainable. So market had to correct. So we will have these great 70% return and 30% return and 4% return, and we will feel, this is the worst, 4% is the worst. And that is exactly the time when the market will fall 30%. And that time there will be somebody whom you know, either in your family or friend circle or some channel, or somebody who will tell you, if you had sold everything and kept it in cash in your savings bank account or preferably under a pillow in your house, today you would be sitting on your full portfolio. You had 4 crores on that day. You know, the peak day they would pick up when the market hit at it, say 21,157 or something. And when the market fell from there to say 9,000, they will tell you, look, on that day, if you had sold, this is the amount of money that you would have made. And they're right, perfectly right. And it is impossible to achieve, because let's take my portfolio. I'm either 90% in equity, or if I think that I should take a cash call, I'm 80% in equity. That's about all. I will never go to a all or none portfolio. I will never be zero in equity saying I'm waiting in cash and when the market improves I'll invest. That will never ever happen. It will not happen to anybody unless there is somebody who is very young and who is about to buy a house and says, okay, I have to get rid of all my assets to buy another asset so that my borrowing is less. Therefore, I will sell off all my equity and buy a house. Then it is possible that that person has gone to zero equity, and that will happen only at a very young age. It may happen at 30, 32, you have just started and you had say 5 lakhs in equities. You said, okay, let me sell this off. But will it happen to a 55-year-old or a 60-year-old, somebody who has built up a nice portfolio over last 30, 40 years? Will we ever go to that kind of portfolio? The answer is no. We will feel frustrated, we will feel angry, we will blame the whole world for what went wrong, and we will say, oh, it was so obvious, metals had to fall, IT had to fall, why would it justify a P of 100, right? So if you see in 2007, I got lucky that I thought the PE for the utility companies was just not right. Why should Tata Power be selling at a PE of 100? Why should Kotak Bank, Cholamandalam Finance and all those companies were selling at sensational PE? And I thought these are companies which are justified only on dividend yield, and I did not find any dividend yield, and therefore I sold. It had nothing to my thinking that market is up or market is down. And even in 2003 to 2007, I believe that the market was giving us opportunities to get out of some high price share and get into some low price share. I did one part perfectly correct. I got rid of a few of these banking names and power utilities and all that, but it doesn't mean I got into the right companies. Maybe I didn't get into anything, but of course, in retrospect, it was a great deal, and it was all done because of one book by Ken Fisher, Only 3 Questions You Ask, or Only 3 Questions to Ask, or things like that. So yes, there will be anger, there will be frustration. You will think the whole world is wrong in what has happened. You never think the world was wrong when it give you a 70% return in the face of a pandemic, unless of course like some of the people who come to my blog and say, I sold off everything, I know that the market is going to fall, or I knew that the market is going to fall, and they've really fallen flat on their face because the market has actually gone up. Learn to understand that the market is impossible to predict and all your anger, frustration is of no use. You have to instead learn how to manage the crisis like this. Of course, it's a crisis, there is no doubt. And you manage this crisis by doing things like asset allocation and those are the solutions. The solutions are not to say I wish I had done that. Yes, of course, everybody, all of us wish that the market never goes down, but we also have to understand that you are being rewarded for sitting through such tough times. When you're feeling very guilty, you're saying, oh my god, what I have wiped out is my this is exactly the total amount of money my father had in his provident fund after 30 years of service, or this is the price which my father paid to when he sold the house. And forget when he bought the house. He bought the house for 18,000 rupees. He sold it for 72 lakhs. And here I've lost 72 lakhs in my portfolio, right? So this kind of anger, frustration, guilt that, I'm a middle class guy. How can I lose this much? Because that word middle class doesn't go away from the real rich in India. So how do you tackle it? First of all, understand the very important comforting thing is to say, I am not alone, right? All of us who invested have lost money. Whether it is Warren Buffett who has lost money, whether it is Mukesh Ambani, whether it is Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, or whether it is Subra, or whether it is me, we have all lost money because we were in equities. When you're in equities, these things will happen. And these things are great opportunities to buy, but definitely it will happen. Don't ask me which year. We are in 2021, so 2021, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Next 5-6 years this will happen. 1 year will be a complete rip-off and we will all lose money. Only question is, are you in sectors which are already very high? For example, in 2007, your IT and BFSI and the power utilities were really at some fabulously high prices. So if you sold, you would not have any great regrets, right? So today, if you were to sell metals, maybe you're halfway through the metal run, but maybe you're 3/4 way through. Maybe it's completely over. Maybe the sugar run is over and it's nothing further to go up. Maybe it's a good time to sell. I'm not guessing, but having sold halfway through or a completed bull run is still better than selling those shares which have just not participated in the rally. So look at your portfolio, see which have participated. If some have gone up by 20% and some have gone up by 74%, it is obviously the 74% which is now got riskier, right? So first of all, it is nothing personal. All of us have lost money and there is comfort in saying, acha, he also lost and he also lost. It sounds very stupid, but if you have seen 3 Idiots, that is important. You need to have the crowd with you so that you feel less worried, right? Also understand that the rewards for being in the market is only because you sit through such real bad times. So having sat through that, yes, you have to get the benefit of doing that. And the average returns, like say the average returns in equity is something like say 17% including dividends or 18% including dividends. So years in which the market goes up by 72% or things like that, have a look at your portfolio. If there is some share which has gone up by 200% or 140%, you know that this has gone way ahead of what the market has gone. It's a time to have a look at that share and say, okay, I've got 5,000 shares of this company. Let me sell of 100. Let me sell of 200, right? Some partial booking once in a while helps, provided you know what else to buy with that, right? So yes, there will be reversion to the mean, and therefore during good times of certain good companies, it's necessary that you should book some profit and be ready for a fall like that, because you will always find something else which is at the start of a cycle and something at the end of a cycle. So don't worry, it is not your family money that you have lost. You created it and you have lost some of it. That's still okay. And anybody with perfect hindsight would have told you, oh God, you should have sold metals, you should have bought NBFC, or you should have sold metals, you should have bought pharma. Obviously, all of us knew that the coronavirus is here, so pharma would make money. Actually, I made much more money in hospitals than I made money in pharma. I've traded more in pharma, I have not traded in hospitals, and hospitals I have made money, right? So you never know whether pharma will make money or oil will make money or whether metals will make money. We didn't know any of these stuff, right? So if possible, you should be buying more shares, you should be feeling less frustrated. You should be reading more, right? You should be reading about the great crashes which have happened, etc. That will help you. In fact, those are good books to read now when the market is not yet crashed. And there will be some shares which have gone up dramatically from say 70 rupees, let's say a Vedanta, 70 rupees to 280 rupees, I think all within 1 year. When you get those kind of returns, you then say, how much of the metal run should I still ride? Will Vedanta go to 500 rupees? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe the metal run is over. Maybe it is the sugar run which has started. Or you look at sugar prices and say, oh God, this is also up. Should I look at paper? So you decide. You can always play that game. So try to. And buy shares which have not gone up much, right? So that is one thing you can do. Because you are reading continuously, also please write down what you are learning, because afterwards it is easy to say, I knew this would happen, therefore I sold the shares. Look boss, if you had 5,000 shares of company which is a sugar company and you sold 250 shares, that is not selling. That is just accidentally you sold something and next day 20 bucks down you bought it back. So it doesn't really matter. What stand did you take, how much money did you put, how much money did you withdraw, all that is going to impact on how much wealth you made. Nobody, the social media will say, oh wow, Subra gave this right call. It doesn't really matter. The question is what kind of quantities you sold. Did you sell all your sugar shares? Did you sell all your steel and metal shares and then sat on it waiting for another cycle to buy, or buying something which has not participated much? It's a question of the quantum also which you have to do. Like that's very important, because I remember in the last 1 year, if I see my portfolio, there is some share which has gone up absolutely dramatically, right? From say 100 to 700 and odd. So 6 to 7 times it has gone up, maybe 140, 150 to 700 plus. And there are many shares, some shares which went up from say 70 to 300, 70 to 200. These are all good prices, definitely no doubt, but some went up much faster, much higher. The question is, did you put more money in those shares or did you put less money in those shares? Because those shares were the dark horses. You were not willing to commit more, right? So understand all that, reduce your frustration, keep learning, because that's the best thing to do. Maybe join a club or create a club of equity investors, sit there, discuss. There are many people I know who can discuss equities 24/7. So tie up with those people, talk about your frustration, talk about your anger, that is useful, right? And then beware that you don't go and buy some very opaque products. This is the time when they will tell you, sir, capital guaranteed products and all that. Remember, whatever they're promising comes at a higher cost, comes with higher annual AMC charges. So be careful about all that. And at every stage of the bear market, be ready to understand that it can go further. Now I'm telling you it can go down by 27%, let's say, and it goes down by 27%. It does not mean that the market is going to go up. It could go down by 35%. You never know what could happen. At every stage you have to be ready that if there is a further fall, I can buy more, right? So if you know why you're investing, if you know where you're investing, if you know what you're doing, largely knowing this, knowing yourself, and then creating a portfolio with the help of an investment manager. Please understand the role of a financial advisor and role of an investment manager. It is the investment manager who can help you take these kind of calls, and then you will invest, and you should not be feeling bad or guilty about losing family wealth. Of course it will happen. And that's the stage when you say, okay, this happened because of the fact that I was in equities. So the person who is not in equities, which means 98% of India's population, obviously does not lose money, but neither do they gain. Overall, if you see from 1979 till 2021, the market has definitely gone up, right? From 100 to say 48,000 or 49,000. There have been times when it has fallen, but the market largely goes up with deep corrections. So how you should react to corrections is what you have to learn. But otherwise, I think one of these years from now to 2026, we are going to lose 30% of our portfolio. Be prepared for it. It is temporary. At that stage, if you have the guts, go and buy more. It's easy for me to say that. I've been through cycles. You will have to learn how to go through cycles. Thank you.